We are knee deep in Christmas, and this back room is proof of it. It's a mess, but that's not what we're showing you. We're showing you how to make a Christmas wreath. And so many people think when you buy something, you have to use it in its whole state, but you don't. Let's cut it up. If you use it in its whole state, sometimes it's too bulky, it's too much. And so now I have 3 pieces instead of 1 piece. I cut before I look, so I cut some of those balls off. So I'm just going to tape them back really quickly. And this is just going to be a botanical Christmas wreath, if you will, because I'm using this natural looking mixed cedar and pine wreath, which is pretty just like it is. But then I'm going to use white tulips and red tulips. What I'm showing you is I've created all of my pieces. I've cut everything. I've bundled everything. So now I can just get to work designing and not having to cut and clip and all of that every time. So I took just a bundle of tulips. They came just like that. I took some eucalyptus and I broke it apart. And I'm adding 1 piece of eucalyptus to each tulip. And then I'm taking a chenille stem, or a pipe cleaner, as some refer to them. And I'm just twisting that on, and that's what I'm going to use to tie onto the wreath. So we'll just start, but I will say I'm also using ribbon. I'm letting the stem of this tulip be part of the design because it looks like fresh cut tulips. So I'm not worried about seeing them. In fact, I want to see the stems in this design. You'll see what I'm doing. I'm alternating the flow of these tulips, and I'm also alternating the color. So there's a red and there's a white, and there's a red and there's a white. And the other alternate that I'm doing is that one's sort of facing out. This one's facing in. I'm going to take my next white bunch face out. Again, I'm facing this one out or away from the center of the wreath. And again, because I use those chenille stems, I'm just tying them on around the whole base of the wreath. Sometimes we can hot glue things into wreaths, but sometimes we have to wire things to keep them in there better. So because those white tulips went down or away from the center, then this red one is going to the center of the wreath, facing the center of the wreath. Okay. You know, natural tulips bend and twist and grow toward the light, toward the sun. So let those tulips just bend around. They don't have to be perfectly straight or go in any particular direction. They're reaching toward the light. All right, we had a red one. It's going toward the center. So the white one, where does it go? It goes next and it faces away from the center. I'm also not worried about if these are placed exactly even in their spacing. I think it gives more of a casualness when they're not exactly the same distance apart. Now we have our last red one, and it's going to face the center of the wreath. I also opened this green wreath up before we ever started because it was super flat coming directly from a box. So I did pull this apart so there would be some dimension to it. And now I will use my hot glue, and I will glue my little millimeter ball picks directly into the frame of that wreath. Remember, I cut this, it was 1 piece, and I've made it 3. And I'm just basically putting those 3 pieces evenly placed. This is not really a grapevine base. It's more of a, I think they call it angel vine base. Now see, we could call that good, but I've got to add some ribbon. I'm also showing you there were 2 eucalyptus stems left out of the bunch. Remember, I added 1 stem to each bunch of tulips. So since I have 2 left, I'm not going to waste those. We'll just get those in the wreath and utilize all of this. Okay, what I was going to show you next, I took 3 yards of ribbon, this red and white striped, and then I cut it into 5 pieces. So I took 3 yards and cut it into 5 pieces. And now I'm just going to dovetail. I just think it looks kind of fancy and festive. And how am I going to get this in here now? I could hot glue it, but to add one more dimension, I'm now going to take this wired curly garland ribbon. I'm not sure what it's called. And I'm just going to cut it so that I have plenty to work with. And I'm tying it on with this. So what I'm doing, I'm going to go to the tulip base. I'm wrapping this around the entire frame of the wreath, meaning if you turned it backwards, you would see the back of that. And now we're just, because it's wired, I'm just going to twist it. I'm not tying it in a knot or anything. But then these ends, because it twists so nicely, it's wired really good. I'm just putting a little curly cue to make it the ends look a little finished. And you'll just get glimpses of that glitter ribbon, because this overall is just a very natural botanical looking wreath. But just that hint of glitz along with the red balls, I think, tie it all together and make it look festive. If you're wondering where you can get this product, you can get it from me right here at Stems by Benny Jackson. You can go to the link, the description link on this video, and find this product. I'm not doing it every time, but in essence, I'm placing this ribbon in front of the tulips so it looks like they're bound in here with the ribbon or tied in with the ribbon. That's not necessarily so, but that's just the appearance. I think I'll have probably one ribbon that's not actually around the tulip bunch. And again, just to make it finished, don't forget to twist your little wired cords there. So when you do get a glimpse of it, it just has a more finished appearance. Hey, if you're gaining any information from these videos I've been putting up on our YouTube channel, please subscribe to our channel. There's a little bell there, and if you click on that, then you'll get notifications when we put up a new video. I try to make things relatable, easy to understand, easy to do. So we appreciate you watching, and we certainly would appreciate the subscribe. All right, now we've got the last ribbon, and you'll see I feel like there's somewhat of a hole right here because I didn't place my tulips evenly, which is what I intended. So I'm going to take this last piece of ribbon and just put it up there. Man, I love this wired cording, glitter ribbon, whatever you want to call that. I'm not sure what it's called. And then you just finish fluffing out to get it placed where your eye tells you it looks finished. I do want to see a little bit of wreath center, or the hole a little bit, so we know it's a wreath and not a blob. Now when you store this and pull it out next year, don't be afraid to reshape it, because in storage it's going to flatten. So touch it, move it, shape it, make it come to life again next year when you pull it out. But that should last for years because it's all wired in there really well. It's glued in there, and you made it yourself, and it looks like a professional did it for you. Check us out. Benny Jackson is my name. Stems by Benny Jackson is our store right here in Lubbock, Texas. Thanks for watching.